You know what, I can't introduce everyone that's here this morning, but I do want to recognize someone else that's in a new position, which is Heidi Daniel. She's director of the Mahoning County Library System, the new director. So Heidi, say hello, everyone back there to Heidi. Welcome. Okay, now, we're now going to hear, as we were scratching our heads the last time in a meeting, we came up with the idea that, hey, maybe we should get all of our safety and safety groups together, meaning the sheriff, the police department, the fire district, and because we don't hear from that group all together at one time. We see them driving around, we hear the sirens, but we don't often hear from them exactly what they do. So we're going to bring them together this morning, and then we're also going to do a case study on the Ducat fire that happened just about a year ago. Excuse me, the way that they worked together, and we'll have some questions for them and bring that all together. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and call up the participants in this. And this is your time that we're going to be sitting up here. So any of you that do want to get up and move chairs and turn around, this would be your time to do it. So I will ask for Canfield City Assistant Police Chief Scott Weimer to come forward, please. You're the first one up at the table. Thank you. You get your first choice of chair there. Cardinal Joint Fire District Chief Don Hutchison. It's okay. You can clap for these guys. It's all right. And from the Mahoning County Sheriff's Department, Lieutenant William Capabianca. Or Cappy. Okay, I'd like to thank each of these guys for being here this morning. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead, turn around if you want to. Move.
I've been there 17 years, and I'm in charge of the Field Operations Division. The Field Operations Division consists of everything that's non-jail related, detectives, patrol, things along those lines, task forces. We are proud to be a part of what's going on in Canfield with our relationship with the township, and I'll be here to answer your questions.
My name's Scott Weimer. I'm the Assistant Chief with Canfield Police. I've been with Canfield for almost 10 years now. We have currently, I'll just give you a real brief summary of our agency. Right now we have 21 police officers. That includes 16 full-time, 4 part-time, and 1 reserve officer. Those officers are broken down. We have the chief, the assistant chief. We have 3 sergeants that are supervise our patrol division. We have 2 detectives, 2 school resource officers, and one of our patrol guys is a canine officer as well. We currently have 13 civilian employees. We do have our own dispatch center. We have 4 full-time dispatchers, 4 part-time. We have police records clerks. We have 1 full-time, 1 part-time. We do have our own IT department. We have 2 full-time employees there. And we actually have a juvenile diversion officer. We have a social worker that works on a part-time basis for juvenile diversion. And then we also have some volunteers. We have an auxiliary division. We have 5 members of the community that are, most of them, with the exception of 1, they're all retired, civic-minded individuals that just want to give back to the community, and they strictly volunteer their time and help us out with that. Quickly, some of the services we provide. We do pride ourselves on providing excellent service. So in addition to traditional police services that you would all think of, I mentioned we have 2 school resource officers. One's assigned to the Canfield School District on a full-time basis. The other is assigned to the Mahoning County Career and Technical Center on a full-time basis. We do offer DARE, the DARE programs, and we actually created about 3 years ago, we have our own drug use prevention education program, and that we administer in 8th grade, 9th, 10th, and 12th grade. So we wanted to do more than DARE. DARE's a great program, but we felt it stopped, and we wanted to continue that. So the school resource officers are involved with that. We work with the fire department, obviously. We do go to the vast majority of medical calls, fire department related calls, and we do that for 3 reasons. 1, we can get there quicker, and we can help locate the address for the fire department so it decreases their response time. And then we can provide some care. All of our officers are first responders, CPR trained. We have AEDs, the little defibrillators if someone's having a heart attack. All our officers are trained on that. And then lastly, we do a very quick criminal investigation. Might be a medical call for someone who fell down the stairs. Maybe they were pushed down the stairs. So we have that function as well, just to make sure nothing criminal did take place. You know, we do vehicle lockouts. We do some of the customer service type things that we feel is very important. If someone locks their keys in their cars, we'll go break into their car for them. We do bank escorts for city businesses that request that, if they do bank drops at night. We do vacation house checks. People go on vacation, they call us, we check their houses for them while they're away. And we do a prescription drop-off. And that's something that you guys could spread the word for us. The DEA has a program where they do it twice a year. And we've been participating in that, but we've opened it up 24/7, 365. We always have people on station, and folks can drop off their expired, used prescription medication, and we dispose of it for them. The other big thing we do is we get our officers involved with the various task forces in the county. And we feel that's important because one, it allows our officers to get a lot of training and experience that they wouldn't otherwise get, and that benefits the community in general, you know, county-wide, but it also benefits the city of Canfield because those officers come back better trained with better experience, and they bring that back to us. So we're very committed to doing that, and it also, through collaboration with other agencies, you know, we build these partnerships, and we have a lot more resources available to us. You know, we had a homicide this year, and you know, without the resources of other agencies, we wouldn't have been able to handle an investigation like that on our own. So we currently participate in the OVI task force. We're actually the lead agency. We administer the grant for that on a county basis. We have officers that work with the drug task force, the CRT, which is the county SWAT team, the DEA task force, the FBI fugitive task force, and the homicide task force. We do have our own dispatch center. We are one of the 911 call centers for Mahoning County. So again, 24/7, we have dispatchers there. Our dispatchers, it's a little unique the way Canfield City and Township is set up. Our dispatches for Canfield Police, which our jurisdiction is the city of Canfield. But we also dispatch for the Cardinal Joint Fire District, who covers the city and the township. And then we also dispatch for Green Township Fire Department. And we're proud to say that we are the only 911 center in Mahoning County that does EMD, which is emergency medical dispatching. Our dispatchers are actually trained to give first aid advice to the caller until first responders arrive on scene. So we think that's a service that's important, and we're proud that we can provide that. Our auxiliary division, again, those are volunteer gentlemen. They're non-sworn, unpaid volunteers. But we participate in the Senior Watch program, which is housed at the Sheriff's Office, which is a good program for senior citizens that don't have family support. And they help us with our mayor's court. And I'm sure you've seen them at special events, the parades, the community events, the craft shows, you know, those types of things. School events, they'll come out at the beginning of the school and help try to reteach all the parents how to drop off and pick up their kids. And so they're a big help to us as well. And then that juvenile diversion program, we do have a licensed social worker that we try to offer alternatives to juvenile offenders, and as opposed to going directly. And I've taken too much of your time, so I'll pass it on to
Good morning. My name is Don Hutchison. I'm the Fire Chief of Cardinal Joint Fire District. Just to make sure you understand, the Fire District is the merger of the city and the township for fire services. So we cover both Canfield City, Canfield Township. We cover 25 square miles. So our fire district covers what these two police departments cover together. So, but we work hand in hand with both police and the sheriff's office, and it's a terrific relationship the way we work together. They get there ahead of us, marking the address, making sure the scene is safe. So appreciate that from both you guys. Cardinal Joint Fire District is composed of 8 full-time firefighters and paramedics. All full-time are paramedics, and at this time we now have 10 part-time paramedics. We have 2 other firefighters that are taking their test to become paramedics, so at that time I'll have 50% of our department will be licensed state of Ohio paramedics. So they'll be able to administer the drugs, the IVs, and medications and that. We also do the fire, which we'll be reviewing the do-cut fire here shortly. One thing, I guess, the last time I was here, we spoke about, as the superintendent was talking about technology, the fire department has taken on a lot of technology this year. Number one, we have these mini thermal cameras. And just to give you an example, we had a tractor trailer jackknifed over top of a car on the Ohio Turnpike, right during the middle of the Canfield Fair. So our first crew pulls out the thermal imaging camera, takes it across the tanker, you know, you're thinking the worst. You can see with the thermal imaging camera where the cold liquid is in a tank and where it's warm. Well, that tanker, right away, they knew it was empty. Knock on wood. Almost gave the driver a hug for being empty, but the tractor trailer ended up on top of the car. Nobody injured, everybody walked away, it was amazing. The next part of the technology is the automatic CPR machine we now have in service on our 2-duty trucks. And we've been using those since, I believe it's April of this year. They've been used 4 times. We had to turn them off because we got pulses back 3 out of the 4 times. And that itself, I believe, is amazing. And it's amazing. Person that you see in cardiac arrest who's cyanotic, blue, put this machine on them in 60 seconds, they're back to a near normal color. It's moving that much blood, moving that much perfusion of blood. The last thing we started using is a cardiac arrest code data with downloads from our heart monitor. We carry the same heart monitor as St. Elizabeth's Hospital's mobile intensive care unit, and you see the helicopter flying over top. We're using the exact same heart monitor as they're using. We download all that information into it, every cardiac arrest. We can see every CPR compression our paramedics do, and then whenever they switch over to the machine, the automatic CPR machine, you see every compression of that. So our goal is to meet every standard of the American Heart Association, and that as no interruption more than 5 to 10 seconds of CPR. And that's how we're teaching it now. That data is printed out. We sit right there with that crew. We show them where they relaxed, where it was good, and so far the results have been outstanding, as I just stated there. We do have 28 part-time paid on-call firefighters, and they respond from home. They all have carry pagers, and also we text them out whenever we need their services from home. We also do more and more automatic mutual aid, just like the police departments do in the area. You know, there's just not enough funding to have 20 firefighters at a station or even 10 firefighters at a station. But the national requirement now as a working structure fire is 14 firefighters on a scene. So we require automatically, we ask for Boardman, or we ask for Austintown, or we ask for Green Township to come in and help us so we meet that minimum standard. The last thing, I guess, is probably one of the bigger things, money-wise, is the fire department placing 11 dry hydrants throughout the township where there is no fire hydrants available. What's that do? We have a truck, we pull up, we hook in a hard piece of hose into that dry hydrant. That truck, pumper truck, now sucks the water out, refills a mobile tanker that then sends the water down to the fire scene. So those trucks and the neighboring mutual aid trucks will then do a big circle, like a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, of dropping water off to a portable pond, or what we call a drop tank. So we can suck water out of the pond, take it down a mile, drop it off, and then use that water at a fire scene. So the application is into the insurance service rating company. In fact, I spoke to them this week, and they wanted some more clarification, and I explained to them how we have it set up. They were very impressed. Now the real deal is, can we perform and deliver the water as much as we say we can? So that's where our next step is, and hopefully on the next meeting we have, I can hopefully have some good news for everybody on a better.
Chief, why don't you tell them what the advantage is for the residents in Canfield Township by improving our ISO rating?
The ISO rating is this time in the city of Canfield, in township where there's hydrants, you have a fire rating of a 4. The lower, the better. If you're in the township where there's no fire hydrants, you're at a fire rating of 9. So you're near the highest fire rating it's at. And the reason being, no water supply. So that in itself, just by placing these dry hydrants strategically throughout the district where there's no water mains and fire hydrants, we're planning on getting the best rating we can.
And lowering their insurance.
Lowering the insurance rates, fire insurance rates, right. That's all I have.
All right, very good. Thanks, Chief. Okay, now that we've heard from each safety service, we think it would be neat to use DoCut as a case study to see how each of these departments work together that morning. You know, I woke up that morning and my kids saw on the TV that, hey, there's no school today, DoCut's on fire. I'm like, what? So if whoever needs to respond to this, please do. I assume that a call came in. Was it a 911 call that started the process, or what exactly started the chain of events?
It was a call from the alarm company, SOS Alarms.
From the alarm?
Had a heat sensor activation from the building, and they called our dispatch center.
Okay,
we received the call.
Then what happened after that?
I think initially, they dispatched, obviously, the fire department. Our police officers hear that radio traffic, and then in that case, we would call the county dispatch and advise them that there's a fire, because DoCut is in the township in terms of police.
When alarm
service.
companies call, it's not a 911 call. It's just like as if you were to call in, not on a 911 line. So from there, Canfield Dispatch contacted our dispatch, and Canfield sent a car, and the sheriff sent a car. And the fire department was rolling.
Was en route at that time, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were able to radio to them.
So at that point, you
It's on
had
fire.
one,
Get here.
each of you had a car there, and the fire department was on the way.
Right.
At what point did you realize that you're going to need more help? How does that work behind the scenes?
As we approached it.
Okay, all right, makes sense. And then the call goes out to. We don't know how that all works behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, I mean, the chief can speak on that, but once they make a request for mutual aid, I mean, it was pretty obvious with this fire, but, once whoever's in command of that scene from the fire department standpoint asks for mutual aid, if it's their, Canfield's fire, then our dispatchers would make those contacts for them.
Normal fire alarm, until it's confirmed as a working fire, we send five firefighters with 2 engines to that call, because we answer probably over 100 fire alarms a year, of course. Otherwise, payroll would be astronomical. So these 5 guys are en route. The Sheriff's Department was the first on the scene. They advised Canfield Dispatch that they did have heavy smoke showing out the roof. Our first in truck arrived and advised that call Boardman in Austintown for help. So as soon as they arrived on the scene, they knew they had fire moving throughout this building. And at that time, then they called out all the part-time firefighters from the district. Okay. And moved on from there.
So now Canfield's there. You also called Boardman. You called Austintown.
Right.
Was Green called also?
They were called later.
They were
Right.
called later?
Yeah.
Okay.
Later, and Ellsworth also.
Okay. So there was a total of how many?
Six departments.
6 departments there. What happens to those other departments? Are they being covered by other
Yes,
departments
the
then? Oh.
backfill a truck up. As in Damascus Fire Department came to Green, Berlin came to Ellsworth, so they back up with 1 engine. Backfills just like that.
Okay.
The unique situation here was we had to lay hose from Sheets, 224 on Sheets, which is on the other south side, and we immediately blocked off the road. Well, just luckily, the Sheriff's Department and Canfield Police were there, because we actually had people running over the fire hose. We were trying to get the fire started. And thank God they stopped some of the cars before we lost everything there. And in fact, one car did hit it and tweaked the hydrant a little bit, so we had to have that inspected afterwards, but they say everything's okay. But that's the number 1 thing. Second thing is crowd control, and then the third thing was we ended up needing more water, so we laid from CVS Pharmacy over Route 11 Bridge to the fire scene on the backside, which now totally cut off 224 east and west off Route 11.
Okay, so obviously these trucks because I'm not real familiar, these trucks come with water in them, but they ran out very quickly, obviously,
not
all
enough,
of them.
not enough for this fire.
Okay.
Thing is, you have a house fire, normal house fire burns pretty hot, burns 1,200 degrees, you know, with all the plastics and just like burning oil and gasoline. But in a commercial setting like this, where they have pesticides, they have liquid fuel in there, they have butane bottles for, you know, hardware stuff, instead of growing at the normal, doubling its size once every minute, it'll four times the size grow in every minute, and that's what we saw here. Initially, after Boardman arrived and Austintown arrived, we had 3 of our biggest 2.5-inch lines, which will flow up to 300 gallons a minute. We had 3 of those inside. I got a report from my deputy chief. The back of the building was starting to crack, starting to move as the steel expanded, and made the decision to pull everybody out. It wasn't worth getting anybody trapped inside there, which they would have been left in there. It would have.
So now, while this is going on, are you all on the same radio frequency? I mean, you can all hear each other and know what's going on as far as block the traffic. We're running a line over there.
Right.
I assume you are.
We talk to our dispatcher, they talk to them, or if we want to talk to them directly, they just hit 2 buttons. Now we're talking directly to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we have each other's frequencies programmed in our radios, so
Yeah.
we can switch channels and communicate with.
This is just
Other
one
agencies.
event. Well, it's a big event, but what I want to talk about is the cooperation between all 3 agencies, which, trust me, you don't get everywhere else. We get along, and we communicate and we talk. And the fact that we get along and communicate like we did actually led up to this night, which was a success.